Good evening. It is February 9th, and welcome to Cape Media News, your source for hyperlocal news that matters. I'm Lauren Williamson. This week, the Cape and Islands District Attorney's Office had a special announcement regarding 2 new grants being awarded to the office's new human trafficking unit. Take a look.
Today marks a pivotal moment as we unveil recipients of 2 separate grants that have been awarded to the Cape and Islands District Attorney's Office by the Executive Office of Public Safety and Security's Office of Grants and Research. One of the grants is Commonwealth Project Safe Neighborhood Initiative in the amount of $98,998.11. Those award recipients are the Yarmouth Police Department, Falmouth Police Department, the State Police Detective Unit assigned to the Cape and Islands District Attorney's Office, and Behavioral Health Innovators. The other grant is a Human Trafficking Enforcement and Training Grant in the amount of $97,051. Currently, there are no local resources specifically designed for survivors of human trafficking on the Cape. With that being said, we are delighted to be able to partner with 2 extraordinary agencies to provide those lacking resources for survivors of human trafficking here on Cape Cod. My Life, My Choice and the Independence House, both agencies will allow services for survivors of all ages to get the support and resources that are crucial to them. In addition to My Life and My Choice, Independence House will also we'd like to recognize the organization of PATH. As part of the grant funds, PATH will provide care bags to every police department on the Cape. Care bags are bags that are filled with essentials that a person who needs to leave a trafficking situation would require.
So as you just learned, the grant that we received for Project Safe Neighborhoods, $98,000 and change, we'll be able to provide equipment and training for various departments that was just mentioned, the Yarmouth Police Department, the Falmouth Police Department, and the State Police Detectives assigned to my office. It will also provide funds for Behavioral Health Innovators, who's a great stakeholder in our community and present at this particular conference this afternoon. So we're very excited to be able to provide those opportunities to those agencies. Vanessa Madge was part of the Human Trafficking Unit for the Attorney General's Office working as a prosecutor. She had worked there for multiple years, conducted investigations and prosecutions all across the state. So we approached her, and we tried to convince her to leave the bright lights of the cities across the state to come down here to the Cape and begin our own human trafficking unit. Vanessa, we're so grateful that you joined us. She's in attendance here today. Vanessa Madge is now the chief of our Human Trafficking and Child Protection Unit. So when Vanessa joined us, she connected with Danielle Whitney, who you just heard from, and they began working on that grant from EOPS, or Executive Office of Public Safety. The ceiling of that grant was $100,000. We didn't want to be greedy. We came in for a request for $97,051. And they were successful in those efforts. And now that we've gotten this grant, which I understand is the first human trafficking grant given to the Cape and Islands District Attorney's Office. Now that we've secured that grant, as was indicated earlier by Danielle, we have the opportunity to work with My Life and My Choice. They have a representative here today that's going to be able to explain what these funds are going to be able to provide for their efforts down here in the Cape and the Islands. We have an opportunity to provide funding to the Independence House. They too will share. Thank you for joining us, Lisetta. I just saw that you arrived. Thank you so much. Our Executive Director, Lisetta Hurd-Putnam from Independence House. She'll be able to describe what those funds will be able to do for her agency. We're able to provide funding for and equipment for Barnstable Police Department, and we, of course, will have some money to provide some training experiences for our own prosecutors and victim witness staff. So it's a very exciting time with this money. It's not over. While we're certainly happy to receive these funds, we know there are further opportunities available for us in federal grants through the Department of Justice. We will be seeking additional funding so we can promote awareness regarding human trafficking. We can help our law enforcement partners build the investigations that they need to build to bring the cases, that we can try to work with survivors and, of course, prosecute the offenders.
To see the full press conference, visit the Cape Media News Facebook page or catch it on Channel 26. Looking to break up the winter tedium? The Yarmouth Chamber of Commerce and Yarmouth Recreation will be having their annual Winter Carnival beginning Saturday, February 17th, and ending Monday, February 19th. Head down to Skull Island in South Yarmouth for some ice skating, food trucks, craft vendors, henna artists, live music, and so much more. The event will be open from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. next Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, weather permitting. See you there. Last week, Governor Healy announced $4 million of grant awards to be distributed to various police departments, district attorneys' offices, and nonprofits across Massachusetts to support victims of human trafficking, stalking, and domestic and sexual violence. Locally, the Yarmouth Police Department has been awarded over $74,000 in Violence Against Women Act grant funding for the 7th consecutive year. This funding will support the YPD's civilian victim advocate, who works with the Special Victims Unit. The funding goes towards the victim advocate's continued training and providing aid and support to victims, including assessing safety, providing protection, health care, or counseling services. Recently, at the Homeless Prevention Council in Orleans, the Barnstable County Department of Human Services and the Cape and Islands Youth Action Board announced their coordinated community plan to address and end youth homelessness on the Cape and Islands. The plan, titled Hopeful Homes, See Change for the Cape and Islands Youth and Young Adults, is the culmination of an 18-month process of collecting and assessing data on current services and resources available to homeless youth. The goal of the analysis was to develop an equitable, inclusive, and accessible plan to address homelessness for people aged 24 and under. The coordinated community plan is funded by a grant of over $1 million in the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development's Youth Homelessness Demonstration Program. Key factors in the plan include lowering barriers to stable housing, exploring innovative housing models, furthering access to transportation, and expanding the Homeless Prevention Council's Host Homes program. Host Homes connects community members with available living spaces to youths in need of temporary housing. The Homeless Prevention Council and Department of Human Services invite public involvement in the coordinated community plan and encourage those interested to contact Health and Human Services Advisory Council Chair Dan Gray at daniel.gray@capecod.gov. Coming up after the break, community meeting in Dennis. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Cape Media News. I'm Lauren Williamson. Last week, the Dennis Affordable Housing Trust hosted a community meeting titled Housing for All, where representatives from Housing to Protect Cape Cod and Citizens Housing and Planning Association were present to listen, share, and engage with the community on the future of housing in Dennis.
All right, so our local strategy is to do a number of things. It's not to come in and say, this is what you need to be doing. This is what you want to focus on. Here's how to do this. We don't know. You all know best your community. So what we're here to do is to help to provide technical assistance to real people together. We've been, as Maggie mentioned, meeting several times throughout the last month, every week, coming together, putting together a list of names and folks. How do we get the word out around having a meeting that will be hopefully the first of many to really launch this effort? So supporting the efforts of each community to build a culture that welcomes new housing and more opportunity, bolstering efforts to expand housing opportunities in the community, growing the number of people in support, right? Growing the folks here in the room, and understanding that there's a shared and collective responsibility around how we get this done. How do we support municipal staff? How do we support agencies that are doing the good work? So that's really our local strategy. But our main piece is to follow what the community wants to do and create support around those issues. All right, so the model for coalition building in this space, as much as we're talking about housing, we want to make sure that we bring everyone into the work. So that includes municipal staff and elected officials, but also housing advocates, developers, local businesses, religious leaders, civic groups, social services, service providers, environmentalist groups, the climate folks, the white folks. How do we bring everyone to the table as it relates to these issues so that we can have a coalition that really works together, right? Oftentimes, we find in communities that the work is happening, but sometimes in silos. And oftentimes people, don't know where the points of advocacy are. We know when we don't want something, we know how to show up for that, for that thing that we don't want. But how about when we do want something, right? How do we get people excited around what opportunities there may be? And so our goal is to bring together a coalition that sort of works not just tonight, but in the nights to come around these issues, so that when there is an opportunity, there's something that can be activated. So the coalition model is to not just bring folks who care about housing in the sense that they call themselves housing advocates, but for everyone to see themselves as housing advocates. The business leaders, right, the business owners care about people being able to afford where they can live so they can have businesses. How do we bring the Chamber of Commerce and the League of Women Voters, right, into the work? And so that's really our goal. And in addition to that, we work to use the data to support what we know. So we'll be talking about some data today as it relates to Dennis, but it's data that hopefully supports what we know and can help us to tell the story around and advocate for what it is we say we want, right? So be doing that through op-eds and through social media and comments at town meeting and all these different ways to sort of get the word out. Is another strategy that we use. So supporting the narrative we know, the strategies that are based in fact, using the data to sort of tell our stories. And so I will turn it over, I believe, to my great colleague, Monica Keel, to walk us through some data around Dennis, and then hopefully we can hear some reactions from you all around what you see in the data, what it says about what you know to be true, maybe what's missing in the data, the story that's not being told through the data, and again, thinking about how we can then later use this in our work as we advocate for what it is we say we want to see.
You can watch the full meeting on our Facebook page next week. Last week, the Barnstable Police Department announced that their last remaining Ford Crown Victoria cruiser has been decommissioned. The Crown Victorias have been used in the Barnstable Police Department for over 30 years, with this particular cruiser primarily used as a spare for K-9 vehicle. Many are sad to see the staple of the community go, suggesting things to do with the iconic car, like keeping it for parades, donating it to a car museum, and even entering it into the Barnstable County Fair Demolition Derby. The Barnstable Police Department said that while they'd love to keep it, the frame is damaged and it will likely go to auction. On Tuesday, the Harwich Select Board unanimously appointed Deputy Chief Kevin Considine as the next Chief of Police after Chief David Guillemette announced his impending July retirement. After 9 years at the Harwich Police Department and 37 years as a police officer, the Select Board thanked and congratulated Chief Guillemette for his years of dedication to the Harwich community. Additionally, the Select Board welcomed in 4 new student officers set to attend the Plymouth Police Academy later this month, and an emergency telecommunications dispatcher. Looking for a sweet ice cream fix in the middle of winter? The Dairy Queen in Harwichport is now under new management and will be open year-round. While the store is not yet to open, it has announced on their Facebook page this week that the 441 Main Street location will be open all year to serve not only the influx of tourists during the busy summer months, but the year-round residents during the off-season. The location is now hiring for their upcoming opening. Check back on their Facebook page for updates. Coming up after the break, Harwich ducks around. Stay tuned. Welcome, Quack, to Cape Media News. I'm Lauren Williamson. It's time to get quack in Harwich. The Community Center is hosting their annual Decorated Duck contest and many more events this month. We stopped by this week to talk with the staff about all the fun activities coming up.
So we started this program and we just put the word out. You could come in, grab a duck, and decorate any way you wanted. And the response was unbelievable. So last year we gave out over 100 ducks, and people just truly decorate them whatever they feel. There are really no rules except can't be anything offensive to anyone. And they bring them back in. They are due in on February 12th. They will be part on display, our ducks on display, for an entire week, and then they will be judged, and there will be prizes for the top 3 ducks. So the ones that have already started coming in, positively amazing. They are so creative. They put me to shame. I'm not doing one because I'm so afraid of how it would look, but we're excited about this because people have, as you've seen going by, time for the ducks again. Everyone's excited about our ducks. So we have a few left. If you're interested in getting them, come into the community center. You have until the 12th to get them back and decorated.
The duck hunt is on February 22nd, and then we have a bunch of other events coming up just to quickly go through them. On February 13th, we're going to be doing Valentine's Day bingo. On the 15th, we're going to be doing a spaghetti supper at 5:30 with yours truly.
I'm not cooking, you're all safe, come on in.
For February vacation, on February 20th, we're going to do a magic show at 2 o'clock with Davey. He was here last year, so he'll be back again this year. The duck hunt, February 22nd. We'll also be doing on the 22nd a Lend a Hand art project. Come in, we'll have paints. If you leave your handprint, we're going to use it to decorate one of our walls in the community center. February 23rd, we're doing a Cape Cod Military Museum talk. It's been an event, a series event that's going on here at the community center. And last, but certainly not least, to wrap up February vacation, we're going to do a family dance party on February 23rd from 6 to 9. Everybody is welcome.
And just because I need to say, we didn't stop doing hunts around town. We have partnered with the Cape Cod theater company, Harwich Junior Theater, and right now, if you're looking around the town of Harwich, we have hidden Elephant and Piggy. That's their next production that's coming up, and so we hid 1 elephant and 3 pigs around town. We put a hint on our website so that you can find them. When you find them, you get to keep the adorable stuffed animal. Come in and you get 2 tickets to their upcoming show, and they do such amazing work there. So those are hidden around town. So we take turns what we had around town. Looking for elephant and piggies this time. Check that out at the Cape Cod Theater Company, Harwich Junior Theater.
So last year, you may remember, we submitted Ryan the Duck, and he has been a fantastic mascot for us, the news team, this past year. But this year, we've gone a little bit in a different direction. I present to you the Quack Night. So bring out your dead and stop by the Harwich Community Center next week to see all of the ducks on display and vote for your favorite. And finally this evening, we're bringing you the latest from the court, track, and ice. Here's Ryan Downs with sports.
Thanks, Lauren. Barnstable's basketball teams had 2 league matchups this week as they took on Nauset last Friday and then DY on Tuesday. The boys' varsity game took place at Barnstable. When these teams last faced off against each other, it resulted in a 1-point difference. After the first quarter, it seemed to be a regular flowing game with a score of 13-9 Barnstable. Then in the second quarter, Barnstable tightened up on defense and allowed just 3 points the rest of the half. The momentum never swayed. As Barnstable closed out the game with the score of 52-34, the win signified a clinched playoff berth for the Red Hawks. Barnstable went on to sweep Nauset this time around as well, when the girls won their matchup with a final score of 55-45. Nauset had a 3-point lead entering the half, and Barnstable scored 21 points in the third quarter to overtake the lead and never gave it back. Tuesday night in the DY gym was DY's senior night. Before the game, they honored their 4 seniors. However, that didn't matter much as Barnstable spoiled the night by winning handily with the final score of 68-44. The same could not be said for the Lady Red Hawks this time around, as they were on the other end of the score in this matchup. The DY girls came ready to play and assumed the lead from the start. In the second quarter alone, DY held Barnstable to 1 singular point, while they effectively doubled their own score. The second half was a completely different game. After being outscored 31-8, Barnstable came out calm, cool, and collected and played their brand of basketball. Though the scoreboard didn't reflect it, the second half of the game was much closer, resulting in DY scoring 28 points to Barnstable's 24 points. DY came out with the win with a total score of 59-32. Every Tuesday, the MIAA updates its power rankings for the winter sports season. In the current format, the top 32 ranked schools qualify for postseason play, as well as any team outside the top 32 with a record of 500 or better. These are the only teams that qualify as of right now. For boys basketball, Barnstable is currently ranked 45th in Division I, but qualifies for postseason with an 11-4 record. In Division III, DY sits at the number 23 position in power rankings with a 7-9 record, and Monomoy is in the number 21 spot in Division IV with an 11-4 record. For girls basketball, the Lady Redhawks of Barnstable are ranked 40th in Division I, but could qualify due to overall record. They started the week off 8-8, but fell to DY, making them 8-9. They have 3 games left in the regular season and would need to win at least 2 to keep their postseason hopes alive. And speaking of DY, they are currently ranked number 24 in Division III with a record of 10-4. Monomoy is in the same boat as the Lady Redhawks. They are currently 39th in Division IV and have an 8-8 record with 4 games remaining, 2 of which are must-wins to uphold at least a 500 record. In boys hockey, Barnstable is teetering at the number 32 spot. They have a record of 6-9-2, and with only 4 games left, their fate is in their own hands, though the odds may be stacked against them, as they have to play 4 tough teams, including Nauset, Falmouth, and Weymouth. They have already lost to Nauset and Falmouth this year, and Weymouth was able to give Nauset its only tie of the year so far. Nauset is number 1 in Division III. They've had no problems winning or scoring this year. With a 13-1 record, they have 8 games scoring at least 6 goals and are riding a 10-game win streak where they outscored opponents a combined 57-6. Next Wednesday's game has been circled on their calendar for a long time as Nantucket, who was able to hand them their only loss of the season back on December 13th with the final score 4-6, comes to Charles Moore. And Division IV is loaded with Cape teams, with Nantucket at 2, Sandwich at 5, Martha's Vineyard at 7, Bourne at 13, Monomoy at 28, St. John Paul at 29, and DY at 32. Monomoy has a record of 3-10-1, and DY has a record of 3-13-1. And last but not least, we have girls hockey. Barnstable is 26th in Division I with a record of 5-10-1, while Division II is again loaded with Cape teams, Falmouth at 2, Nauset at 4, Sandwich at 15, Martha's Vineyard at 17, and DY at 30. Nauset has had an impressive season so far with a record of 14-1-1, with their only loss and tie coming from Falmouth. They have 4 really tough games left this season, all against playoff qualified teams. The boys and girls indoor track and field Cape and Islands League Championship took place at the Reggie Lewis Center in Boston on Sunday. In the girls varsity competition, Nauset was crowned the Cape and Islands League champs with a score of 119.5. Senior captain Liz Mayer won the shot put, and junior Madeline Mahoney secured first place in the 1,000 meter. Sophomore Violet Roach claimed victory in both the high jump and long jump. Despite an undefeated regular season, Dennis Yarmouth came in second with a score of 100.5. Brianna Brahman had wins in the 55-meter and 300-meter. Brianna Hannaford won the 55-meter hurdles, and the 4x200-meter relay team finished first. And Barnstable came in third with a score of 94. Senior captain Lily DeDeco finished her season undefeated in the mile and 2-mile. She also anchored the winning 4x400-meter relay team. Chloe Dibb won the 600-meter, and the 4x800-meter relay team secured another victory. In the boys' competition, Nauset emerged victorious with 120 points. Senior captain Damian Beber led the way by winning the 300-meter and 600-meter events. Another senior captain, Peta Dill, scored first place in the long jump. Junior Aiden Brown claimed victories in the 55-meter hurdles and the 55-meter dash. And the 4x200-meter relay team ran a season best for first place. Barnstable placed second with a score of 102. Senior Harry Els remained undefeated in league action by taking first place in the shot put. The 4x800 meter relay team won, finishing about 30 seconds ahead of the second place team from Falmouth. That's it for this week's sports update. Back to you, Lauren.
Thank you for joining us this evening. If you have a story that you'd like to see covered, send us an email at newstip@capemedia.org. Tune in every week for more hyperlocal news that matters on Channel 26, Apple TV, Roku, and Fire TV. Be sure to follow us on all of our social media, including Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. For Cape Media News, I'm Lauren Williamson. Quack, quack.